Hello, my name is Andy, and I am the village idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro, and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to the East Riding of Yorkshire. Now, today, I'm in a place that if you stand in the right place, you get a fantastic view. And I'm in that place right now. Look at this. In the distance there, the hills you can see, they are the East Yorkshire Wolds. And from this place, you're sandwiched between the Wolds, which is to the east, and to the west is the River Derwent, which gives its name partly to this place. Welcome to Newton on Derwent. Newton upon Derwent, whose official parish name is just Newton on Derwent, is a village and civil parish in the East Riding of Yorkshire, situated approximately 5 miles west of Pocklington and 1 mile south of the A1079 at Wilberforce. It lies 1 mile east of the River Derwent, after which the village takes its name. According to the 2011 UK census, Newton upon Derwent had a population of 315, an increase on the 2001 UK census figure of 282. Today we're lumping everything together into one section as the amenities and landmarks are all clustered together at the end in one area. For a small village, there's plenty to talk about. Let's start with the basics. Newton upon Derwent is a linear village built on the Escrick moraine. Newton means new homestead. The name of the River Derwent comes from derva, the Old English word for oak tree. Throughout the village there are examples of vernacular buildings which were built of locally produced handmade bricks. The brickworks were down Carr Lane. There were once 24 farms here. At Thornbush Farm, Robert Jefferson Hayton was a carrier, farmer, grocer and shopkeeper. Penrose Farm was named after the family who lived here in the 19th century. There are some nice areas of wildlife, including this little section, which has some snowdrops at this time of year. With winter just coming to an end, you tend to find areas like that have plenty of snowdrops around and spring flowers. It's nice to see, especially with the blue sky. Shows villages off in a nice light, I think, when that happens. Newton once had a saw pit which was sited where Wold Grange now stands, conveniently opposite the joiner and wheelwright workshops where Village Farm is. Now you are able to walk around Newton on Derwent solely by using the road or the footpath if you head down there, although when you get to this point here at the southern end of it, there isn't really much down there. It's just basically just the road which loops back on itself to the road that we're about to go to, and I'm going to go to it using this footpath across this little pasture here. There's a tractor there. I don't know whether the footpath goes past that, but yeah, definitely a farming community. We'll go across there to back of Newton. The footpath was possibly created by a postman, then used by a farm worker who lived in the Tide Cottage and worked at Penrose Farm. I've eventually made it to the road. This is back of Newton, and this is the main road through the village, if you like, if you don't want to actually drive through the village, if that makes sense. It's sort of like a little bypass and it heads down towards Sutton upon Derwent. We're walking back to the north now, to the other end, to see what else this place has got. Here's some more potted history as we walk down back of Newton. The village elders used to meet beneath an ancient elm tree until it blew down in the Great Gale of January 1839. Newton has a house called the Poplars, which was built in 1868 using the winnings from greyhound racing. During World War I, children collected conkers from a horse chestnut tree there for use as an ingredient in cordite for ammunition. Newton held an agricultural show between 1853 and 1888. The villagers were well known for breeding coaching horses and used the occasion to showcase their fine animals. By 1911, the population of Newton was 206, and only one person worked away from the village, a railway clerk, possibly at Fangfoss station. Newton's 24 farms in 1914 employed 55 live-in farm lads and dairymaids. 19 farmsteads had live-in domestics. Newton used to have a village pump that once stood on the land known as Mary's Garth, with Mary's Well on the grassy bank. Most houses had their own pumps, and some still have wells today. To the north of the village there was a windmill which was used by farmers of Wilberforce, Catton and Newton. There are two properties in the village called Hall Farm. Hall Farm Wood is a mid-18th century farmhouse with 5 bays and a brick and pantel band. Then there's Hall Farm Leach, probably the oldest building in the village. Modern-day Newton sees a population density of 48.84, covering as it does some 6.9 square kilometres, and most of the people that live here are white British, a figure that comes in at 97.8%. The average house price in the village is pretty steep. For a house here, you're looking at around £552,000. The World War I memorial plaque stands on the corner of Jackson Lane and Main Street and is dedicated to Harry Blanchard Wood. The old red phone box is a prominent feature. Here it's used to house the village's defibrillator. The Half Moon Inn is the only remaining pub in the village, originally built as a thatched single-storey building. It was used for meetings, inquests and sales. The bus shelter has the parish notice board, but it's much more than that. In fact, as well as the bus services seen here, you can obtain most of the information I've included in this episode thanks to what you can find right here at the bus shelter. Okay, so this bus shelter is just a nice place to shelter from the wind for a second. On the outside of the shelter, have a look at this. We've got a Newton On Derwent history trail, and I'm going to take one of these because this is going to be helpful for actually making this video that you're currently watching. But also very helpful is what I'm about to do next, because as you can see across from this bus shelter we've got a chapel, and that has been in the local news just lately because it's being turned into a cafe. And I've got a special guest today, and I'm going to go and meet the person behind that cafe at the chapel. And we're going to have a little tour of it, and then we're going to go down to the Derwent. Let's go and meet Margaret. The Methodist chapel was built in 1901, replacing the one built here in 1818. After refurbishment in 2018, it's also the village's community centre. Margaret asked not to be on camera as much as possible, but her insight was fascinating. Here in the chapel, I was pointed in the direction of the guest book signed by the Archbishop of York. The World War I memorial plaque inside the chapel commemorates the soldiers who were brought up in the village and left for war. You'll find around the village red poppies and blue plaques denoting houses where soldiers lived. The chapel has been in the news recently in both the Pocklington Post and the York Press, as it's launching a pop-up cafe on the 5th of March, thanks to lots of funding from the Heritage Lottery. So Margaret has offered to take us down to the River Derwent in a 4x4. So for once I'm in a car with the camera, but it's not attached to the dashboard. Our short journey will take us a mile away to the bank of the River Derwent along Mask Lane, sometimes just known as the Mask. It's a mile-long track leading to Newton Old Landing. Mask Lane was created in 1766 when Newton Common was enclosed. Villagers' animals were allowed to graze on the wide verges. Stray animals were enclosed in a pen or a pinfold, which is on the left here. The bench you can see here is dedicated to Professor Peter Venables, who was a leading psychologist at York University. Our route down the Mask passes sand hills. Between 1851 and 1873, Mary Hayton held the village school here in a house, which is now a garage. Yorkshire keels sailed up the river and discharged guano fertiliser at the Newton Old Landing. The track leading to the riverbank is called Nanny Layton's Piece and takes you to the footpaths leading to Kexby and Sutton upon Derwent. Thanks to the landing here, goods could be easily transported by river. Newton has always been a wealthy village, and this landing is one of the main reasons why. So that's pretty much it for the parish of Newton upon Derwent, or Newton on Derwent, whichever you want to call it. Margaret gave me this nice little poster, which is usually sold apparently, but I've been given this one, and it's exactly the same as the map you could see on the outside of the chapel. Some cracking information on it, and also in that information leaflet that I got from the bus shelter. There is a picture bit today, and that's coming your way right now. And there you have it, that's the parish of Newton on Derwent, and it's time for me to move on to my next one here in the East Riding of Yorkshire. But until then, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and this has been the parish of Newton on Derwent, and I am out.